Welcome all to the 6th of December 2021 Council meeting. I open the meeting at 7 p.m. I will now pass you on to the CEO who will read out the formalities.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome all. This is an ordinary meeting of Council. My name is Alison Beckwith and I'm the Chief Executive Officer. Tonight's meeting is a hybrid meeting with councillors and staff participating in person or via electronic communications. So bear with us tonight, we're trialling some new technology. The meeting is also being live streamed via Council's website and Facebook page. The live stream is not interactive. Any comments or private messages directed to us while the stream is live will not be presented to Council or have a bearing on the conduct of this meeting. Tonight we are also welcoming the public back into the gallery for the first time after a number of months, and it's lovely to see some familiar faces and new faces join us tonight. In line with the Victorian Government's orders, vaccination evidence is required to attend tonight's meeting. Council's request to speak method has also been modified to continue to allow participation without having to attend the meeting to make sure that people can access our meetings. So the rules for public participation during the meeting, please note that any public questions submitted to tonight's Council meeting will be printed in the minutes. Council does not accept questions as part of the request to speak process. No statement may be derogatory, defamatory or directed to an individual councillor, staff member, ratepayer or member of the public. A 2-minute time limit applies to the request to speak process. The timer will be used and a warning will sound at the 1.5-minute mark if officers are indeed reading on behalf of a resident, and they will wind up if they need to do so. So just letting you know who is in attendance tonight. So councillors in attendance are the Mayor, Councillor Elizabeth Neely, Councillor Alison Champion, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Peter Castaldo, Councillor Rick Garotti, Councillor Alida McKern, Councillor Tom Malikan, Councillor Peter Dimorellis, Councillor Mark Di Pasquale and Councillor Fiona Mitsonikos. This evening we are also joined by the Directors, Kath Brackett, Director of Community Programs, Mark Giglio, Director of Corporate Services, Darren Bennett, Director of Assets and City Services, and Jonathan Risby, Acting Director, City Development. Also here tonight supporting the Council is Gina Burden, Manager Corporate Governance and Communications, members of the governance team and IT teams and our Jets IT crew coordinating our live stream this evening. We thank you again for participating into tonight's meeting. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Our meeting is being held on the traditional land of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people, and on behalf of Banyule City Council, I wish to acknowledge them as the traditional custodians. I would also like to pay my respects to the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung elders, past, present and emerging, and to acknowledge other Aboriginal and Torres Strait elders joining us today. Council is committed to and values diversity within our community. I will now read Banyule's diversity statement that demonstrates our commitment. Our community is made up of diverse cultures, beliefs, abilities, bodies, sexualities, ages and genders. We are committed to access, equity, participation and rights for everyone, principles which empower, foster harmony and increase the well-being and of an inclusive community. Would any councillor like to advise of any leave of absence? No? I'll start with the confirmation of the minutes of the meeting held on the 15th of November 2021. Can I please have a councillor move? Moved Councillor Dimorellis, seconded Councillor McKern. I now put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Are there any disclosures of interest? There are no disclosures. We begin with a presentation. Tonight we have a short address by Helena Selejowski from the Economic Development Team. She will be presenting to Council the Digital and Traditional Advertising Award, and the team received a Main Street Australia Awards for Excellence ceremony in recognition for the Rediscover Local initiative, which is wonderful.
That. Good evening, everybody. I'm extremely proud that Banyule Council's Rediscover Local initiative received Main Street Australia's Digital and Traditional Advertising Award on Friday, the 19th of November. Main Street Australia is a not-for-profit membership-based association that supports business groups on main streets, town centres and shopping strips. The awards made a return this year after a 4-year hiatus, and it attracted 78 applicants from around Australia for awards in 11 categories. The Rediscover Local initiative, now in its second year, was an outcome of the COVID-19 business support package and was launched in August 2020. Focused on supporting small businesses in Banyule survive and thrive through COVID-19, it encouraged residents and businesses to shop locally for their goods and services. The Economic Development Team were there to accept the award and celebrate on behalf of Council, and now I'd like to present the award to the Mayor and Council.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What a great achievement. Okay, urgent business. There is no urgent business. Petitions? No petitions this evening. We'll move straight into the agenda. 3.1, Working for Victoria Program Review. Councillors, there is a recommendation on the papers. Can I please have a councillor move a motion? Moved, Councillor Malikan. Is there a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Garotti. Councillor Malikan, would you like to speak to the item?
Yeah, just briefly, thank you. A great program, and Council certainly used the funds made available by the state government to provide services and opportunities for many people during this progress, and some of the projects run were really beneficial to the people, so I'd like to thank the government for their funding and their assistance, but also encourage them to continue such programs because it was very successful, well received by the participants, but also well received by the residents of Banyule, so thanks very much. And yeah, it was a great program and very successful.
Thank you, Councillor Malikan. Would the seconder wish to speak? Would any other councillor wish to speak? No, I might make a few comments. This program supported 23 unemployed people within a 6-month placement across council services, and the beauty of this program was that it provided employment to those adversely affected by COVID and to add something positive to the community of Banyule. So the results were twofold. It included the beautification of streetscapes, parklands by removing graffiti and litter, a speedy customer experience and business support as well to local businesses. It's worth noting that 1,126 graffiti tags were removed and 10,000 Indigenous tube stock across bushland areas were planted. The other added benefit, the participants were provided on-the-job training and support with CV development and interview skills. So just wanted to highlight the range of things provided there. Thank you. I now put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried. 4.1, Draft Banyule Weed Management Strategy for Public Exhibition. Councillors, I understand that we have wording that differs from the recommendation in the papers. Can I please have a councillor move a motion? Moved, Councillor McKern. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Castaldo. Councillor McKern, would you like to take us through the amendments?
My apologies. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The amendment refers to point 2 of the recommendation, and it reads as such. During the public exhibition process for the draft Banyule Weed Management Strategy, specific comments will be obtained over the use of chemical herbicides. And
Yep.
now would you like me to speak to the motion, Madam Mayor?
Yep, yep, go for it.
We might ask, why have a weed management strategy? Because managing weeds is a critical part of protecting our natural environment, Madam Mayor, which includes our green open spaces, wildlife corridors and biodiversity, which residents have strongly indicated is an important feature of our city and is reflected in the council vision. Yet weeds have been assessed as having an enormous impact on our society, environment and the economy. Protecting natural environments from weed growth costs state and local government millions of dollars a year. So it's in our interest to have a strategy that acknowledges the importance of managing weeds to protect our public open spaces and biodiversity. The draft Banyule weed management strategy highlights the most aggressive weeds we need to focus on, and also points out common garden plants which have become weeds and contribute to some of the problems. It calls for partnerships with residents and friends groups to help control weeds in private gardens and in public open space. I think, Madam Mayor, Council and the gallery would be interested to know that some of the worst weeds in Banyule include common garden plants, English ivy, desert ash, genista, or otherwise known as broom, and others, cotoneaster and sweet pittosporum. I urge all of us to have a look at the strategy and have a look at your own garden to see if weeds aren't inadvertently being harboured and spread. Fruit or seed of some of the worst weeds are spread via bird droppings or windborne. This exhibition period for 6 weeks is for public comment. It's an interesting read, the strategy, and Council looks forward to receiving a healthy response to a problem that really affects us all, Madam Mayor. That's all.
Thank you, Councillor McKern. Councillor Castaldo, seconding the amended recommendation.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Look, this is a good amendment. A number of residents come to us talking about how are we managing our weeds, and they've got concerns. So thank you, Councillor McKern, for the amendment this evening. This is an important strategy. I was surprised at how many emails come through on this subject matter. It covers public and private spaces, and I think it'd go down well if you as a homeowner out there potentially have a look at many of the species. I was surprised. I've had to take out a few trees and plants of my house after being informed about what is a weed, and so I think it's got a lot in there. It's a great strategic document, and for a range of people to look at as well. So good work to the officers that produced this document, and fully supportive, and look forward to the community's feedback on this draft. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Castaldo. Does any other councillor wish to speak? No? Just mentioning that, you know, the weeds do reduce the aesthetic appeal, but also compete with our natural habitat and wildlife, and we need to manage those negative impacts. Okay, so I now put it to a motion, to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 4.2, State of the Environment Report. There are no speakers. I understand that we have wording that differs from the recommendation in the papers. Can I please have a councillor move a motion? Moved Councillor Castaldo, seconded Councillor McKern.
Thank you, Mayor. Recommendation as is 1, 2 and 3, with amendment to Part 4. Council includes in future State of the Environment reports a breakdown of emission sources for previous and future years, and details current and projected risks and challenges to achieve both the 2028 corporate emissions and the 2040 community emissions targets. So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Castaldo. Okay, and seconded I've already done that. So we'll go. Would you like to speak to the item?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you to the Environment team and Ali on the work done so far in the production of this report. There's a number of positive indicators, and it's good to see our climate emissions have tracked downward. This coming year, we expect to see a notable drop in corporate emissions due to the Power Purchase Agreement, which will see 100% of our electricity, our largest category of emissions, reduced to zero. Waste has stayed stubbornly high in this year's report, but we are progressing with the adoption of our biggest waste reduction in the implementation of FOGO this coming year, the second phase in our organics recovery plan. It's been good to see the strong uptake of our green cones, the first and best way to reduce organics going to landfill, by over 400 households so far. Nature has been on our side again and provided us with plenty of rain, reducing our water needed along with well-managed irrigation. And as always, our friends groups put in the hours and volunteer work, and the tree planting numbers are going up. Measuring and monitoring how we interact with the environment will always be a challenging task. But with the amendments tonight, we will have a little further information available to our community to understand the scale of the task at hand, where we need to take action, and also draw attention to those hardest areas to decarbonise. Thank you to all those in our community who continue to work in this space. It is a highly contested and challenging environment that we need all hands on deck. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Castaldo. Councillor McKern.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The State of Environment report, it's an annual report produced by officers, and it covers the areas of water, waste, carbon emissions, biodiversity and stewardship. Looking at all the various categories, I actually think we've performed quite well in all of them. So, Madam Mayor, the exciting element here is waste going into next year with the rollout of FOGO. So I think we should see some good results around FOGO next year. My attention was picked, I must say, by the reduction in corporate greenhouse emissions, as was alluded to by Councillor Castaldo, a 7.6 reduction. And that looks great, and the charts are great for that, because we do need to lead by example, and by corporate we do mean council. So that's interchangeable, that term. I think it needs to be clear, though, that we're under no illusion here. Council contributes 3% of this municipality's carbon emissions, so the really big ticket item will be reducing community carbon emissions, which obviously then contribute 97%. And that's why we've called for this alternate recommendation, so that we can start charting reductions in community carbon emissions, as well as the excellent job we're doing in charting our council carbon emission reductions. It's really important that the community knows just how it's tracking on carbon emission reductions. So an exciting year coming up for next year, particularly in relation to FOGO. And otherwise, I too would like to congratulate Ellie Hall and the team in strategic planning for this report. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor McKern. Does any other councillor wish to speak? I'll just mention briefly the $110,000 allocated to the community groups through environmental grants. They're really important for projects and new initiatives. And the highlight as well for me with the Eltham Copper Butterfly in Montmorency was also over 33,000 sightings of the different bird species. And also the rainfall was above average. So, which also, the drop in corporate emissions is, the goal that we're working towards. Thank you. I now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. 5.1, our well-built city exhibition outcome. John D'Aolia will be speaking, and written statements will be read by Mark Gillio, Director of Corporate Services, and Kath Brackett, Director of Community Programs, on behalf of Rosemary Reddick and Susan Toole. Okay, I'd like to invite John. Thank you, John.
Good evening, councillors. It's John D'Aloia. I'm Vice President of the Warringal Conservation Society. We are a local conservation group caring for the environment in Banyule. As council is aware, Warringal has been caring for the environment in the city of Banyule and beyond since 1970. Our goal is to enhance and protect the natural environment, to provide habitat for native flora and fauna and for the community to enjoy. When Warringal created the first significant tree register for the city of Heidelberg in 1982, it was in the hope that it would be a means by which the wider community could nominate more trees and appreciate the beautiful trees that exist in Heidelberg. Warringal was delighted when Banyule Council adopted and enhanced the significant tree register many years ago. It was a vindication of the early work of the society members to highlight the wonderful trees of Banyule. The adoption also demonstrated that council was committed to protecting our trees, and now this register is part of the Banyule planning scheme. Banyule is renowned for its many reserves and green spaces, which are dominated by trees. As the current custodians of the local environment, we should cherish and protect our trees and ensure that Banyule's tree canopy is enhanced and not allowed to recede. To this end, we encourage Banyule Council, through the significant tree register and by other means, to arrest the documented decline in the tree canopy. Warringal acknowledges that this register is not a static document, it's a living document, with sadly some trees lost over time, but more importantly, with more trees being added every year. The Society is grateful for Banyule Council's inspection, assessment and recommendation. The continual update of the register is to be encouraged, and it is hoped that the register will be accessible to the public in the near future. Warringal is in ardent favour of the acceptance of Amendment C119. Thank you.
Thank you, John D'Aloia. And we'll move on to Director Mark Gillio.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Speaking on behalf of Rosemary Reddick, who is speaking in favour or for the recommendation. Thank you for reading out my statement at this meeting. My name is Rosemary Reddick. I'm a long-term resident ratepayer within the Banyule LGA. I'm also a current member of the Banyule Urban Forest Strategy Group. I fully support the proposed Amendment C119, which will permanently protect over 90 significant trees within the Banyule LGA. This protection must be effective, robust, and must be clear to all residents who seek information regarding significant trees on the Banyule website. There are 331 significant trees and areas of significant vegetation already protected in Banyule by the planning scheme ES04. And since the last review, a further 95 or so trees have been assessed as significant, with Council now proposing to protect these trees. I seek assurances that all significant trees within Banyule LGA will receive permanent protection. The Banyule Council C119 fact sheet states that currently all trees within Banyule already have some protection controls which require planning approval to lop or remove a tree, depending on its size and the species. And yet a neighbour to the near of my property was able to lop off a third of a registered significant tree on my property. This is one of 331 trees already on the register. This action was without a permit and without even the courtesy of any notification to myself, the owner of the property on which this beautiful tree stands. Many other councils within Melbourne do require a permit for any type of works regarding significant trees, such as pruning or lopping for the health of the tree. All trees are undeniable contribution to the landscape, or make an undeniable contribution to the landscape, with significant trees helping to maintain our connection to our historical past. They act as custodians of our botanical past. Banyule is privileged to have so many significant trees, therefore it is an obligation and duty of care to retain and protect these trees for the betterment of all residents within strong, more robust laws.
Thank you. Director Gilio and Director Brackett.
Thank you, Chair. I'm reading this on behalf of Susan Toole. Good evening, councillors. My reasons for disagreeing with Amendment C119 are as follows. I think the advertising was misleading. Under the heading, what does the amendment do? It is stated the amendment proposes to amend ES04 to, followed by 6 points. Point 4, making formatting and minor text changes to ensure consistency to the ministerial direction on form and content of planning schemes. Removing all reference to the National Trust of Australia Significant Tree Register, now trusttrees.org.au, and removing reference to the Banyule City Council Significant Tree Register, replaced elsewhere in a document by Banyule Significant Tree and Vegetation Assessments 2020. Is this the new name for the tree register? The name Tree Register alerts people to the possibility of adding nominations. It significantly changes, especially in the opening paragraph, and weakens the Schedule 4, Clause 42.01. The National Trust is Victoria's premium heritage and conservation organisation that informs Banyule Council whenever a tree from Banyule is added to its register. Also proposing to insert a 25-page table between point 3 and point 4 of Clause 42.01 is not user-friendly to residents reading the document, as they may miss point 4 completely. May be clear to planners. Sadly, I think C119, because of the above reasons, weakens protection for significant trees and vegetation in Banyule.
Thank you. Director Brackett. Councillors, I understand we have wording that differs for the recommendation in the papers. Can I please have a councillor move the new wording? Councillor McKern.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The new wording relates to point 5 as follows. Includes consideration of submissions that suggest changes to the environmental significance overlay. That should read significance, not significant. Environmental significance overlay, Schedule 4, otherwise known as the ES04. Permit requirements as part of Council's broader vegetation protection controls review.
Thank you, Councillor McKern. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Castaldo. Councillor McKern, would you like to speak to the item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd be delighted. First of all, I'd like to thank John Deloya. Council is grateful for the support of the Warringal Conservation Society towards Banyule significant trees and the addition of the 95 trees to the ES04. So thank you, John, and thank you to the Society. I'd also like to thank Rosemary Reddick and Susan Toole for their highly considered comments, more regarding our current vegetation protection controls around trees that are listed on the environmental significance overlay. Such is the importance, I think, of their comments and comments received from the public exhibition period that has compelled Council to include point number 5. And that is because the addition of the 95 trees from our significant tree register to permanent controls under the environmental significance overlay is essentially what this amendment is about. It's important that it's understood that this amendment is not about a review of our vegetation protection controls. However, looking at the submissions received from the community, both from peak body groups and individuals, it's obvious that our controls are of significant interest to people. And I'd like people to know that They will be considered under our review of the VPO. That's just about all I wish to say, other than there were also a number of small points, such as the future exclusion of references to the National Trust Register as part of this amendment. And I'd like Council as well as the gallery to know that in the case of these minor revisions, they are not being led by Council. DELP, the state government body, is actually undergoing a review of the framework of planning schemes across Victoria, and to standardise planning schemes, references to items such as the National Trust Register, particularly where these references refer to local policy rather than state policy, are being standardised and therefore removed. I've been advised by our senior statutory planners that should we insist on maintaining that wording to retain the National Trust Register reference, that it could actually compromise our ability to have the 95 trees added to the overlay. The priority is clear, and it's to add those 95 trees. So I hope that's well understood and appreciated. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor McKern. Does the seconder wish to speak?
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. Look, I'm fully supportive of the amendment to the motion being put forward tonight, and thank you to all the speakers on the item, especially John DeLoya as a representative of Warringal Conservation Society. I did not know the history of how this protection came to be, so I'd like to thank the organisation for their part in this. We're going to continue to add trees each time we review this process. This year there's over 90 added to the 330 of either individual trees or clusters of trees. It's important, I know there's a lot of trees that are deserving of being protected under this overlay as well. So we've got a lot of work moving forward, but I think this is a good group of trees that we will lock in to have the highest level of protections on them. So I look forward to seeing as many of these be put into the planning scheme amendment and make its way through the planning process. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Castaldo. Does any other councillor wish to speak? No, I put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 5.2, Major Transport Projects Update. There are no speakers. Councillors, I understand we have wording that differs from the theme of the night, that differs from the recommendation in the papers. Do I have a councillor to move the alternate wording? Moved, Councillor Champion.
Thank you, Mayor. Points 1, 2 and 3 as is. Point 4, that Council receives further updates on the North East Link project, the Hurstbridge Line rail duplication project and Fitzsimons Lane upgrade project each quarter. Point number 5. Notes that E.J. Andrews Reserve is in Briar Hill and not in Greensborough. So moved. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Champion. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Malikan. Councillor Champion, do you wish to speak? Does the seconder wish to speak?
I do intend to speak. Yeah, thanks very much for that. The North East Link, I think it should be said that the extension of the tunnel was a huge win for this council and something we've advocated for, something that the EES process recommended, something the planning panel recommended, but which was ignored. But the contractor realised the benefits and understood what council was saying and has decided to extend the tunnel, which is a huge win for this council. Protection of trees, protection of the Banyule Creek, much more open space, much less disruption to residents. There will be other residents around Wattle Grove and around Summers Avenue who will be impacted more. I know the government's working with them, but this was a huge win for this council, and I think that can't be understated. And also the Lower Plenty Road interchange was far simplified, which I think is a much better outcome as well. The Fitzsimmons Lane project, I still fail to see the benefit of this project at all. And if you go and have a look at it, it's nearly completed. It's a massive scar on the land where there used to be a rather attractive entrance into Eltham is now a massive scar on the land and was never able to be proven what benefit it provided. Councils, and I mean councils, all three councils pushed for changes. Manningham, Nillumbik and us all disagreed with this project, but we have achieved some changes, but I think the overall project was a complete waste of time and money, and I will fail to deliver the expected time savings and will prove to be a bit of a white elephant. How you can have 4 lanes leading into 2-lane bridge over the Yarra and a 1-lane bridge over the Diamond Creek and expect the traffic to move freely is just ridiculous. But the Greensboro and Montmorency project, I think, also reflects what the Auditor-General said about the state government failing to integrate projects, failing to look at the total overall package of transport instead of focusing on a particular item, and in this case they've totally failed to incorporate the bus interchange into Greensboro Station. Could I have another 30 seconds, please? Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Melican.
They've totally failed to incorporate the bus interchange as part of the Greensboro Station, which will be a massive failure, and the one opportunity they did have to incorporate buses into that station, and the other failure was the path between Greensboro and Montmorency, which they have identified is needed, and they have started the planning, but they haven't actually committed to that as yet. So that is a bit disappointing. So, and I'm quite happy to receive these. This council, as COVID has shown, is under a real pressure, and traffic volumes are increasing everywhere. But we need, and having these projects is good, but we need to make sure they get them right, and we also make sure that they meet the requirements of the Transport Integration Act, which these projects at this stage don't. So I'm happy to receive the report, and I'd like to thank the officers because I know they've done an enormous amount of work in the background to achieve these aims. So thank you for that. But still much more work to be done to make sure these projects are right and don't impact as much as they could have in the first place.
Thank you, Councillor Melican. Does any other councillor wish to speak? No, we're after timely reports and information before the fact. I think that's what I'm hearing from the councillors and the community. Okay, I now put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 5.3, final Heidelberg Structure Plan. There are no speakers. Councillors, there is a recommendation on the papers as is. Can I please have a councillor move a motion? Moved, Councillor Castaldo. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Di Morellos. Councillor Castaldo, do you wish to speak?
Yes, Mayor. Surprised there aren't any speakers. This is an important one. Tonight we are approving the final version of the Heidelberg Structure Plan and noting the submissions as we move towards the planning amendment in 2022. Thank you to all those contributors to the refreshed Heidelberg Structure Plan, the strategic development team, and especially Faye and Anthony, and residents who have made their contributions throughout the extensive public consultation. The consultation included trials of several placemaking ideas and activations. These included parklets to expand outdoor dining and a pop-up park on council-owned land outside of Leo's supermarket. These pilot activations received strong community and trader support. The challenge of meeting state planning objectives and the hopes of existing residents has been highlighted quite clearly with some of the key areas of concern in the submissions around building heights, having better access to and more green open space, and strengthening this connection with the Yarra River corridor. There are numerous amendments made to the draft as a consequence of the consultation and inform the final plan we are approving this evening. I believe we have balanced the competing interests, and I'm happy to support this plan. To move forward to the planning panel and with a well-considered place-based strategic framework that will guide growth and coordinate council investment and activity in the Heidelberg Major Activity Centre over the next 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Castaldo. Does the seconder wish to speak? Councillor Di Morelos.
Thank you, Mayor. This was actually a really interesting one to go through. It's probably the first massive master plan I got to experience for my first year of council. And it's great that there's been a lot of consultation, and it's nice to see this draft come out of it. I noticed that we're still waiting for the planning panel prior to our final adoption, so looking forward to hearing back from them and seeing this grow the whole area. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Di Morelos. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Okay, I will now put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Might have to mute a few phones in the meantime. Thank you. 6.1, Supervised Children's Crossings Update. There are no speakers. There is a recommendation on the papers. Can I please have a councillor move a motion? Moved Councillor Garotti, seconded Councillor Di Morelos. Councillor Garotti, would you like to speak to the item? Councillor Di Morelos.
Just quickly. This is it's actually a good thing in one way that council funds children crossings that Vic Roads don't see as viable. And this is just I guess, making sure that those resources are properly used and ensuring that the right streets are correctly maintained. So great work to everyone and good work to council.
Thank you, Councillor Di Morelos. Councillor Malikan.
Yeah, very disappointed. The one in Wungan Street in my ward is being closed down. I've fought for that for a long time, but eventually you've got to concede that if it doesn't meet the warrants and it's not improving, even though we've tried to get or try to make it more attractive. I've had several discussions with the school about this, and it just doesn't seem that there's many students that live on the other side of Wungan Street that want to use this crossing. You'd think after COVID that would have improved, but it doesn't appear to be the case. So reluctantly we'll agree to this. Hopefully that things will turn around and start, more people will start walking and cycling to school, and these crossings will become more active. But currently that's not the case. You know, we can't keep putting money into this if it's just not being used. That's unfair to other crossings that might need support. So we'll reluctantly agree to this. But I think it's something we need to keep in the back of our mind, that we should be making it easier to walk and cycle to schools, not making it harder. And it's very regrettable that as soon as the money runs out, Vic Roads pull the funding and the pressure's put on council to continue funding. And we've done that for about 5 years now for these particular crossings. So reluctantly we'll agree to remove the crossing supervisor, but I'd be very happy to reinstate it if we could turn things around and encourage more people to walk or cycle to school. So that would be something we should work on. So a bit of a sad occasion, but regrettably it's unavoidable.
Thank you, Councillor Malikan. Does any other councillor wish to speak? No? I now put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 6.2, Viewbank Tennis Club, LED lighting upgrade. There are no speakers. Councillors, there is a recommendation in the papers. Can I please have a councillor move a motion? Moved Councillor Mitsonikos, seconded Councillor McKern. Councillor Mitsonikos, do you wish to speak?
Thanks, Mayor. Look, it makes sense to bring it forward. It's obviously less interruption to the club, and if there's any potential savings, that then they can be used elsewhere within Banyule or locally. The installation of the LED lighting, it helps us to reach the goal of being carbon neutral by 2028, which is obviously a massive win. And with Burundara courts being relocated because of the North East Link, we may end up seeing players come from there rather than going to the new facility at Glen Waverley because we're much closer. Also, the Viewbank and the Rosanna Tennis Clubs are working together at the moment to start a new and exciting program to encourage women back into the tennis courts. So it's starting after the Australian Open, And the two clubs are running a Monday night twilight social comp for women who want to play in a structured format, but also to have fun and to meet new people. If you want further information, you'll just have to go to their Facebook pages and obviously their websites. And I did want to also say a massive congratulations to the Viewbank Tennis President Adam, who was nominated for the Tennis Vic Awards, which is the Volunteer Achievement Awards, and he finished in the top 3, which is actually a fantastic achievement. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mitsonikos. Does a seconder wish to speak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's really to reiterate and to support what Councillor Mitsonikos has said. I think she really pointed out all the important aspects of this recommendation. I too agree with Councillor Mitsonikos that this recommendation makes sense to bundle the works rather than doing them separately for LED lights installation, which does include both the poles and lights for all 3 courts together. There was going to be 2 courts done and then another court done separately. So, as Councillor Mitsonikos pointed out, tendering the works together has the potential to realise cost savings across the 2 projects and with less disruption to the club. And of course, the best part of it is reducing our carbon emissions. So, a really great project for Viewbank Tennis Club, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor McKern. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Champion.
Thanks very much, Mayor. Just really briefly, this is great to see this lighting project, as we've said, bundled together. It is sort of the last, comes at the end of a few years, certainly that I've been on council of this particular club, improving its grounds, its courts. So this I think is the last of the capital works for it. So to complete it this financial year is very exciting for them. And I'm not surprised that the President, Adam, has been nominated and come third at least. Very dedicated President, Adam is, and it is great news to hear of his nomination. This is a really brilliant club. Innovative, fun, great courts, great environment, and it deserves all the accolades it achieves, and this is just icing on the cake for it. So please make your way down there to Viewbank Tennis Club as you can for the new and improved activities that they're going to be planning after the Australian Open. For those of you who don't know, is the second half of January every year, so back in February. Thanks very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Champion. Councillor Di Pasquale.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to mention that, and also thank the Capital Works team and all the officers working in that area. I think the community need to understand that in different sporting areas, we have different strategies that have been created. For example, in tennis, we have strategies with regards to courts, so the bases of the courts, when they're due to be replaced, the surfaces, how they're faring, different strategies with regards to the fences around the courts, the lights, the club rooms, upgrades and replacements, toilets, etc. All these different strategies have been put together and they continually get worked on by officers, which makes our job easier come budget time. Because when we come up to budget time and we're looking at what's needed where, it's much easier these days than it was years ago, because the officers have actually done audits and these strategies are there to us to look at, and they put all the clubs in a hierarchy of what's needed mostly, and then what's moderate need, and then what's a low need. So I think the community needs to understand this, Mayor, and if there are any presidents, secretaries, vice presidents, any members of clubs as well, be it cricket clubs, tennis clubs, football clubs, whatever it is, I think it's important that they know and their committee know where they are on these strategies. So by all means, please contact council if you don't know where you are in these various strategies, or even if you don't know that these strategies exist, because they're very valuable, especially for the committees planning the years ahead for the clubs. So thank you for the time. I just wanted to mention that just to the community, that these are available for the clubs and for our community to use at any time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Di Pasquale. Does any other councillor wish to speak? I put the motion forward. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Item 6.3, North East Link Project Sporting Infrastructure Outcomes and Club Transition. There are no speakers. Councillors, there's a recommendation on the papers. Can I please have a councillor move? Move, Councillor Garotti. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Malikan. Councillor Garotti, would you like to speak to the item?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. We'll take the opportunity to speak briefly. Very pleased to see this item closed out on behalf of the football club at Watsonia Football Club. So as part of this recommendation now, we'll see some much needed remedial works occur at AK Lines, the finalisation and commissioning of the brand new terrific pavilion at Binnack Park, and then some minor works just to complete a path around the oval. So unfortunately, North East Link left a gravel section around the oval, so we'll get that properly paved, which I know is important to a number of residents who frequently use the reserve. So very pleased to see this being closed out by the council, and a very good partnership with the state government and with North East Link to deliver terrific facilities to the community.
Thank you, Councillor Garotti. Does the seconder wish to speak? Councillor Malikan.
Yeah, it is good to get these projects done and complete. There was a tour the other week which I couldn't attend. I haven't seen Binnack Park, but I've certainly seen Ford Park, and it's a very impressive building and a very impressive outcome. Greensborough College is an outstanding work being done there. It's a pity that this North East Link is going to destroy parts of Banyule, but I think we should thank the state government for these projects because they will benefit us in the long term. But as I said before, there's still other work that needs to be done. The loss of Windsor Reserve now, I think, needs to be compensated for, and more work needs to be done to make sure that there's adequate provisions for all sporting clubs right across the city. Greensborough College will accommodate a lot of the clubs that will be displaced by the North East Link, but you imagine that during a late Friday evening or whatever, when people are trying to attend Greensborough College and Greensborough Road's been dug up for the North East Link, it'll be incredibly difficult and congested. So we do make sure that the local grounds are upgraded to provide that extra capacity, and I think we'll need to continue to work on that. But I would like to thank the North East Link and the state government for the money they've put into these projects, and they've done an excellent job, you'd have to say. We don't need a $16 billion road so we can get an upgrade to some of our facilities, but this is certainly one of the they have been great projects and well executed by the North East Link Authority, so I would like to thank them for those efforts and encourage them to continue and provide other resources for our local sporting community.
Thank you, Councillor Malikan. Does any other councillor wish to speak? I now put the motion. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Item 7.1, 2021 to 22 Economic Support Package Status Update. There are no speakers. Councillors, I understand we have wording that differs again from the recommendation in the papers, and I'll ask a councillor to move the amendment, please.
Happy to do that, Mayor. So just noting a revision to point number 5, that Council will receive a further report on the current status of the 2021-22 Economic Support Program in March 2022. All other points as is. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Garotti. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Malikan. Councillor Garotti, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Very pleased with the progress of the economic support package. From our perspective and our discussions with residents and ratepayers and the businesses, delivering good value for the community at a time when they need it most. One of the reflections for us as a council, though, was how quickly the COVID situation moves, and I suppose how we possibly didn't factor in COVID as appropriately as what we could have in our budget setting for 2021-22. Our budget assumptions, for example, assumed a return to almost business as usual activity across our facilities and centres, and it's been anything but over the last 6 months. Fortunately, though, due to the good work of Councillor Di Morales during the budget process in advocating for strong rate relief for residents and ratepayers and support for business, we did actually put together quite a comprehensive economic support package. So the motivation behind the amendment that I've suggested is to get a further report in the March period, which is ahead of finalisation of 2022-23 budget, so we can review the situation as a council with our community. We can have a look at how things are travelling, and we can either look to ramp up if need be, or hopefully we're in a strong recovery phase and we can begin to tail off and just rebuild the finances of this council for the longer term. So that's the motivation behind the amendment, but very pleased overall with the success thus far of the program. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Grotti. Does the seconder wish to speak?
I do. Thank you very much. Yeah, as Councillor Grotti pointed out, the rate waiver, which was incredibly simple, incredibly easy and incredibly fair and easy. It was quite clear what the criteria was, and you either simply could demonstrate you met that criteria or you couldn't, and there was no jumping through hoops or anything. It was a very clear, well-targeted program that benefited the people that were hardest hit by the COVID crisis, and I thought that was a great way of doing it. The special charge rate that all the Traders Association received, I think, really helped businesses. As we heard before, the Rediscovered Local, which was money we allocated to assist local businesses, and the staff, to their credit, organised and ran that program, which we received an award for. So that was part of that economic stimulus package we developed in response to COVID, won an award from Main Street. So that's a tremendous outcome. But also the fast tracking of some major projects which this council paid for to make sure there was work available for local people, and that was hugely successful. But the small business grants we provided to allow businesses to pivot, to change their offering, to become online, was certainly beneficial to many businesses, enabled them to stay afloat. But the removal of fees, the removal of permit fees, footpath trading, all sorts of things this council did to make sure small business continue. And I think that was very well received. The outdoor dining, a state government grant we received, was extremely successful. But the community grants, the waiving of all fees for all sporting clubs to access the grounds, enabled many of the sporting clubs to continue. Some would have gone under otherwise. The money we made available to neighbourhood houses to improve their offering and to enable them to continue. I think it was an outstanding program, and I've said it before, I think this council developed the best response in an economic way for our residents, for our businesses and for our community groups and any other council in Melbourne. I'm very proud of what this council has achieved, but we still need to continue because COVID's still going, and we need to stay on top of it. And Councillor Grotti is exactly right. We need to reassess it and reevaluate it at all times. So very happy with this outcome, and I'd like to thank the staff, particularly the Rediscover Local, for their great efforts there.
Thank you, Councillor Melican. Councillor Di Morales.
Thank you. Yeah, it's some great work, and it's awesome to see that there's so much support for the local community and businesses. But I think it's also important to remind people that it's still there, it's still available. So if you do need support, don't forget to reach out to Banyule. I know we're just closing up round 6 of our business grants. I believe round 7 is in February. So again, if you are struggling, make sure you jump on, because that's what it's there for. And hopefully, well, if we follow Europe and some of the other countries, I don't think COVID's behind us, but definitely it looks like this council's here to support people. So make sure you do take full advantage of it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Di Morales. Councillor McKern.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think all really important things said by my fellow councillors tonight towards the economic support package. As far as Ivanhoe Shopping Strip is concerned, there were 2 particular packages that were mentioned at the recent Ivanhoe Traders Association general meeting, which I attended, annual general meeting, and that was the big thumbs up for the Rediscover Local campaign, but also the gift card program. Apparently that's been an outstanding success in Ivanhoe and will be continued, but I just would like to take this opportunity to state what the marketing manager for the Ivanhoe Traders Association did say regarding Banyule Council. We would like to thank the Banyule Council for all their support by both contributing generously towards our funding, but also for their human resource support and involvement. Banyule is one of the only councils in Australia that contributes significantly towards the special rate, and as a result, it provides the Ivanhoe Traders Association with a significant edge resource over other shopping centres. So that's a really big wrap for Banyule Council, and one that we should be proud of, that we have contributed so much to help our traders through COVID. So well done, Team Banyule.
Thank you, Councillor McKern. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Castaldo.
Yeah, I'm fully supportive of this and a good amendment. Thank you, Councillor Garotti. We've had to consider how do we best support our community, and this year we got a big surprise as additional waves came through with COVID. I think the budget allocation has significantly grown, and Council's good budget management has enabled us to do that. And I feel that there's a lot of good indicators moving forward. We did say this last year as well, with vaccine rates rolling up over 90% now in Banyule, which is great to see. Council supporting our community, and our community also supporting our community with everything they can do with vaccinations as well. So thank you to officers and our community for playing their role. We'll get out of this eventually, and hopefully sooner the better. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Castaldo. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Thank you, Councillor Grotti.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to make a summing up comment to note that it's a terrific package that we've delivered, and we have done that while on track to achieve a surplus and to continue to pay down council debt. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Grotti. I think it's fair to say our package is second to none, and from the range of responses from councillors highlighting different elements to it, yeah, it's good economic forecasting and good work done by the officers, so thank you. I now put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Item 8.1, provision of concrete and asphalt maintenance works. There are no speakers. There's a recommendation on the papers. Can I please have a councillor move the motion? Moved, Councillor De Morelos. Seconded, Councillor Malikan. Councillor De Morelos? No? And no to Councillor Malikan. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Garotti.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think it's important sometimes just to touch on these procurement-related matters, just to provide assurance back to our community that we do review in detail the recommendation that's provided by officers, and just in discussion with the director around this recommendation, understanding how the panel works. So there's a variety of providers, some of whom are locally based, that are now being selected to join a panel. And what the council officers will do is, for particular services, ensure that we select the best value provider from that panel. So we certainly grilled, I think it's fair to say, officers around the mechanics of that, and feel that we are getting value for money on behalf of the ratepayer through this recommendation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Grotti. Any other councillor wish to speak? I now put the motion. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Item 8.2, award of contract, assembly and logistics for FOGO bin distribution. There are no speakers. There's a recommendation in the papers. Could I have a councillor move the motion? Moved, Councillor Castaldo. Seconded, Councillor Malikan. Councillor Castaldo, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, I should speak. This is a big item. It's $500,000 into our food organic to green organic waste rollout, which is going to be a very, very important program in the coming 12 months. Looking forward to seeing that come through. And I think this is another step forward in our council in really making big steps forward in waste reduction. And thank you to the bin guy for providing us with a good contract price. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Castaldo. Does the seconder wish to speak? No? Does any other councillor wish to speak? I now put the motion. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. 8.3, Review of Governance Local Law Number 2. There are no speakers. Councillors, there is a recommendation on the papers. Can I please have a councillor move? Moved, Councillor McKern. Seconded, Councillor Malikan. Councillor McKern, do you wish to speak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did actually ask some queries of the officers as to how this is different to any previous local laws, particularly in relation to clause 3.11A and 3.11D. And I am advised by our governance team that all clauses remain the same as the previous local law, and that these clauses are standard across councils. They're important clauses because they actually refer to the fact that it's an offence for a councillor not to not withdraw an expression which is considered by the chairperson to be defamatory, indecent, abusive, offensive, disorderly or objectionable, and to not satisfactorily apologise when called upon twice by the chairperson to do so. And in the case of 3.11D, that a councillor, it's an offence for a councillor to refuse to leave the room on suspension. Not that these laws should ever affect a council like this. I think this is a very well-behaved council. I've certainly seen some train wrecks in terms of what can happen in the gallery, and we're very fortunate at Banyule that this councillor group, in the year that I've been here and worked with my fellow councillors, have found them at all times to be respectful, even when in disagreement, which is healthy for councillors to have differing opinions and to debate to sort them out. So interesting that this has come up, and just wanted to reassure our public that Banyule Council operates in the most upstanding manner. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor McKern. Councillor Malikan.
Yeah, I'd agree with Councillor McKern. This has been always been a very respectful and well-behaved council, and but you have the whole idea of a council is to bring 9 different views to every decision, and of course there's going to be different points of view, and that's exactly why you have 9 different people looking at each issue and each decision to make sure you have a variety of input and a variety of opinions. But this council's always done that, but it's also respected each other, and I think that will continue. I know it will continue, but I think we'll change the local government means we need to do this, but I think this has always been a very respectful council, and all you need to do is remember that we're here to serve the residents and get the best decision. So if you remember that, then why would you be abusive to anybody? There's absolutely 0 point. Why would you be nasty to anybody? 0 point. We're here to serve and make the best decisions. And I think we do that every time, and we will continue to do that. So happy to receive this report tonight, but I think residents of Banyule should be pleased that they've elected a very well-balanced, respectful council that looks after each other, takes care of each other, but certainly brings a variety of views and opinions, and we all come up with the best outcomes and the best decisions because of that. So happy to accept this, and I'd like to congratulate actually our newer councillors for them coming up to speed very quickly and really providing different viewpoints, different aspects and different... yeah, it's great to have some new talent on our council. Very pleased. So, thank you.
Councillor De Morelos.
Thank you, Mayor. It's important to recognise this is going out for consultation, so to the community, make sure you get involved. It is over the Christmas period. It was for 4 weeks. It's been extended with an extra 2 weeks to ensure that there's time for everyone to get in and, or whoever is interested, to get out and consult. So make sure you do. Thanks.
Does any other councillor wish to speak? Well said, councillors. I now put the motion. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Item 8.4, 50 Chapman Street, Macleod, renewal of telecommunications lease with Telstra. There are no speakers. There's a recommendation on the papers. Can I please have a councillor move? Moved, Councillor Melican. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor De Morelos. Councillor Melican, do you wish to speak?
Just briefly, yes, there's been a successful contract with Telstra. Been no interference or disturbance. I've never had a complaint about it. It's provided a good revenue stream for that small piece of land tucked away in that corner. So happy to continue that.
Thank you, Councillor Melican. Councillor De Morelos, any other councillor wish to speak? A no-brainer. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. Item 8.5, Chief Executive Officer Remuneration Policy. There are no speakers. Can I please have a councillor move? Moved, Councillor Champion. Seconded, Councillor Melican. Councillor Champion, would you like to speak? Councillor Melican.
Going to speak, but it's not really about what this is about. This is about the policy, but I'd just like to take the opportunity to thank Lydia Wilson for her guidance and assistance through this process. She has been outstanding. Her guidance and assistance during the selection of our CEO was obviously magnificent, because we were able to employ what I view as the best CEO in Victoria, if not Australia. And I know she's only been here for 2 years, and during that, 24 months and 21 months of that has been COVID. And I think her guidance and leadership and her persistence and her decency has guided this council through a really rough period. And I think the staff and the councillors would not be where we are today if it wasn't for her leadership and determination. So I'd like to thank our wonderful CEO for her efforts, and happy to receive this. Oh, not really talking about that, but I just like, we talk a lot, but it's the CEO that does all the hard work, and I know the respect she's held right across the whole local government industry, and also with staff is a real credit to her. And I think as a council we could not have picked better than our current CEO. So thank you, Alison, for all your hard work over the last 21 months. And I can't wait till things get back to normal and you can really show us what you can do when things are good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Melican. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor De Morelos.
Thank you. Just probably highlighting the fact that, we do have an independent chairperson that runs this as part of it, and that obviously holds us accountable and ensures that this role is to the standard that is out there and that the community would expect. So just wanted to highlight that. Thanks.
Thank you, councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Castaldo.
Yeah, I'd just like to note the importance of having a very good process in determining the most important role in the bureaucracy component of council. There are some other good elements in the council, I like to think, as well. But look, I think it's come a long way, the processes that we've got in place to go through and ensure that we have a good working relationship with CEO and councillors. And as Councillor Melican indicated, it has performed well for us in the selection process as well. So that's all I'd like to thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Castaldo. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Garotti.
Now that everyone else has made a comment, I just wanted to highlight within the policy that I believe that we are potentially the only council that's implemented a CEO scorecard. That was certainly the feedback from our CEO when we tasked her to look into that. So no other council has a specific mechanism there. That's just reported confidentially to councillors every 6 months as part of the review process. But I'm very proud that we were able to work together as a council collaboratively with the CEO to get that scorecard in place. And I think it just shows the partnership approach we have to getting the highest standards for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Any other councillor wish to speak? I won't speak as I'll be just repeating what's been said, so I'll put the motion. All those in favour? I declare the motion carried. There are no sealing of documents or no notices of motion. Item 11 is general business. We have 4 items of general business. Councillor Garotti, you have 2 items.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. 2 items. So the first item is just an acknowledgement of the retirement of Mr. Alan Hunter as president of the Watsonia Football Club. Their AGM is this evening, in fact, and a bit disappointing for me that I was unable to join them due to this meeting. But Alan was a terrific president and leader of that club for over 2 decades. So wanting to acknowledge his role and contribution at the club, and also that I believe a certificate will be going out from yourself and I as ward councillor to Alan. So thank you, Alan, and thank you for your contribution. And the second item in a similar context is to acknowledge the retirement of Marlene Caton from the Red Cross at Watsonia. She'd been there for 18 years. Marlene was also a very active volunteer at the Watsonia Neighbourhood House and Bundura Community Connect. So Marlene now has decided to give back to herself and her family and step away now from those volunteer commitments. So once again, just wanting to formally acknowledge her great contribution to our community. And once again, a certificate will be going out from yourself, Mayor, and I to Marlene and her family acknowledging that. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor McKern, you have an item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Last Friday, the Northern Alliance for Greenhouse Action, NAGA, of which Banyule is a member council, won an award for service excellency in the DELP Environment and Climate Change Awards. The award was for design and delivery of a training course in climate change risk and adaptation for local government. The 8 training sessions were delivered to a high standard and received consistent positive feedback from council leadership members who attended. So I understand that a number of councillors from Banyule attended the course. I did, and the feedback I got from councillors was that it really did improve their understanding of climate change and its impacts. And if I could be so bold, given that it's the last ordinary meeting of council for this year, Madam Mayor, I'd just like to take this opportunity to wish our community, councillors and council staff, the best for a happy and safe festive season, and just wanted to thank everyone for their generous support in 2021. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor McKern. Councillor Malikan.
Thank you. I'd just like to acknowledge Alan Hunter as well, commonly known as Onions. I knew him from an opposition point of view, but he was always most gracious as a guest and as a host whenever we played Watsonia. And so, yeah, and he has done enormous work, as Councillor Grotti's pointed out, so that he will be sadly missed, but I'll still imagine we'll see him around. So, yeah, that's a bit of news. But I'd also like to just acknowledge the former Banyule Councillor Anthony Carbines, MP, member for Ivanhoe. His promotion to the Minister for Disabilities, Ageing, Carers, Child Protection and Family Services, a very important and vital portfolio to protect the most vulnerable within our community as we recover from COVID-19. To reimagine Olympic Leisure Centre might be a good local project the new Minister might be interested in engaging with Council, and I look forward to his input into the outcomes. So I do wish him every success on his new role and looking forward to continue working with him for the benefits of people not only within Banyule but also within Victoria. So good luck, Anthony, on your new endeavours, and best wishes from us.
Thank you. Councillor Melican. As there are no more reports, I'll move to public questions. We've received 7 public questions and they will be included in the minutes of this meeting, which will be available on our website later this week. In accordance with Section 66(2)(a) of the Local Government Act 2020, the meeting will now be closed to members of the public for the consideration of one confidential matter. Should I? We don't. Which has now been removed. So I'd like to now also take this opportunity to speak, because this is the last council meeting of the year. So I would like to thank everyone for tuning in and participating in our council meeting under these, difficult couple of years, but this year in particular, there's still been change. It's been a challenging year for many people in the community, and I hope also that the holiday season will bring you some joy and happiness. I'd like to thank our CEO, Alison Beckwith, and all of her staff, directors, officers, for adapting to this changing environment this year. There's been a lot of curveballs thrown in at councils, and Banyule Council has done well to adapt. I'd draw a likeness to a chameleon adapting to the different environments. I think we've been able to do that. Going remote, all of us councillors in separate rooms by ourselves, during council meetings, being difficult, but being able to do it. I'd like to thank the councillors also for adapting and meeting with the community. It went from meeting people in person to phone calls for a long while and emails, and then back to in person again. So thank you, councillors, for making that effort and adapting as well. It's been tough. From everyone at Banyule, wishing all the residents a safe and wonderful holiday. We'll be back in 2022, and the first council meeting will be held on Monday the 7th of February. I think I'll leave it at that. I now close the meeting at 8:24 p.m. That's a quick one, isn't it? Thank you.